This is going to be day 23. We'll get right to it. Jotham was disappointed. It was so small, not a tenth the size of Jerusalem. There were about as many buildings in the whole town as lambs in Jotham's flock. As they reached the edge of Bethlehem, many of the people on the road went straight through on their way to other places, but many stopped. They were looking for lodging and food. "Do you know where Hasrah lives?" Simeon asked, but Jotham shook his head. Simeon stopped where a man was sitting on a wooden bench grinding an axe. "Excuse me, sir," Jotham said. "Could you point me to the Inn of Hasrah?" "2 houses that way," the man pointed with his axe toward the road they had been traveling. "Go right, and then 3 buildings over." "Thank you," Simeon said, and handed him a small coin. Simeon took Jotham by the hand once more and led him through the crowd. Hasrah's inn was 2 stories high and made of stone, and it was right where the man had said. As they opened the huge wooden door and walked in, Hasrah grinned like a bridegroom. "Jotham of Jericho!" he yelled. "By all that is good and holy, I thought I'd never see you again." Jotham gave Hasrah a big hug. "It is good to see you," he said, "and I bring you glad tidings." "Oh, and what is that?" Jotham stepped back and grinned. "Nathan of Qumram is alive." Hasrah almost fell over, but grabbed for the table. Then he sat down. "That is good news," he said. "But how do you know this?" Jotham explained all about being kidnapped by Decca and the rescue by Nathan and Caleb. "But our friend Silas?" he asked when Jotham was finished. "Silas really was killed by Decca," Jotham said softly. Hasrah hung his head in sadness. "May he live and reign with Jehovah," he said. A moment later he raised his head and smiled. "At least Nathan is alive, and I shall have to reward my friend Seth the next time I'm in Jericho. But now, my young shepherd, I must return to work. As you can see, I have much of it." Jotham looked around the tiny inn. People and belongings were stacked everywhere, even on the narrow wooden stairs that led to the upper room. And it seemed as if not another person could cram into this place. Simeon asked Hasrah if he would take charge of Jotham, to which Hasrah agreed, saying, "I could certainly use an extra pair of hands." "May you find your family safe and well," Simeon said to Jotham with a bow. Jotham gave Simeon a hug and decided he was tired of making wonderful new friends only to have to say goodbye to them right away. "I will tell my father of your kindness," he said. Simeon bowed also to Hasrah and thanked him. Then he was off, back to Jerusalem. "Well, Jotham," Hasrah said, wrapping his arm around Jotham's shoulders, "perhaps you could start by cleaning out the stable." Consider. Jotham had great expectations of what Bethlehem would be like, but was disappointed at the tiny village he found. He did not understand that great things can come in unexpected ways. What expectations did you have for Christmas? Do you suppose there is something about Christmas that is great enough to make it a special day, even if you don't get any presents?